leaving the main studio. We're into the culinary studio here.
Perfect. And these are, what type of work are these?
They're 3D paintings. They're acrylic on board. And there's the birch trees and Queen Anne's lace and a little cinquefoil. I don't know what to say about that. The top one is a print of a larger print. It's called Manana, and it was from Santa Barbara, our efficiency apartment quasi-studio. And below it is a piece from one of the Santa Barbara street scene, self-portrait. I think he did that for a show, but I can't remember which one. And the eyeball is called Who Am I? And that's also from San Francisco. The stained glass was done when we lived in the church. There was a lenticular screen in the center, you know, the kind that made everything look like it's fisheye, and it broke. And below it is a seraph from north of San Francisco at an old sheep ranch. Yeah, this was during the Las Vegas years.
And the same thing here.
Yeah, had a lot of fun. So we've got the rest of Las Vegas, and then we're going into the digital photographs and the 3D paintings. All of this was done in Wildwood.
And over here,
more paintings. Most of those are from Wildwood. On the shelf are the digital photographs. Well, they're photographs that he rendered 3D, and the magic of John Pierce. They're amazing. I know it's not going to pick up on the 3D effect. It may, we'll see. And all of these scenes are from, I shot most of the actual photographs. He did of course, the 3D-ness of them, but they're all from around here in the wood. I do this woods walk. These are the paintings. These are some of the last paintings that he did.
and these are here in Wildwood too.
Redwood, and it's another seraph on plexiglass. And this was done in '75. It's held its color. It's amazing. I am so pleased. These paintings along this wall are on canvas, and they're 3D. Most of them were done since we've been in Wildwood, back in Wildwood. That one, the big one, is Cedar Creek, and of course Morels in Amanita. The black and white is actually an old photograph of a morel, but I thought it fit. This, the Bay City piece, was a billboard on 75 for several years. He did it for the Downtown Bay City Association. But it's a pretty cool, it was a cool billboard. It was fun. And then those are the winter 3D digital picture series. And the Trillium. The two black and whites on the right are films that stand out nicely against the white wall, so I put them there. Well, these are 3D. It's Trillium, they're on canvas, and Queen Anne's lace.
These are the Amanita.
And that's digital.
And so
that's
is this
an
supposed
Amanita.
Yeah.
And the morel. The Sportsman in Santa Barbara, famous sportsman bar, and John's in there doing the drawing. And below that is our apartment in Santa Barbara, rendered by John. The pear is one of his stained glass pieces from years ago. That's been with us for years.
More of the 3D. Okay.
The one on the table is a birch bark configuration with leaves. He had fun with that one. The quality here with these is that I ran out of wall space. So there are a lot of other paintings that are experiments in achieving that final 3D feeling. Well, that's one of those wonderful pieces that he didn't date. But this was definitely Wildwood. I think this was when we were at the church, so it would have been the late 80s. This wall, going down this wall, are the studios that we've had over the years, some of them anyway. And the first one was a flat studio we had on Fell Street in Santa Barbara. Below that is the place we had in Bay City. That's the old Oddfellows Hall in Milan, Michigan, which is just south of Ann Arbor. And it was an incredible place. It must have been 120 feet deep and maybe 40 feet across.
And this one?
That's also Milan. If you walk through the one on the top all the way back, you get to that room on the bottom. Okay, this was the fourth floor of the old Milo Coffee Company in San Francisco, and it was a poured concrete building. They roasted coffee here. All the buildings around this 759 were two-story. And because it was a poured concrete building, and the walls were all gooey from roasting coffee, and the only thing we could cover them, we couldn't paint them, so we covered them with billboards. And if you could look in the fourth floor window, that's John's desk, and then through the little doorway is the dark room, which is down here. You walk into that's the dark room, and it's all billboarded, and the wooden sinks and the enlarger and all the antique photographic equipment that you don't need anymore. And you'll see in the top picture on the left-hand side the hint of the barber pole. Do you see it there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that barber pole is right here. So if you came down this hallway, that's like the kitchen area and the elevator, and then there's that other doorway, and that's into this part of the studio where I did silk screens and 3D photography and bands rehearsed, and that was Santa Barbara again. These are set Wildwood, the bottom two are winter, but those are watercolors, 3D watercolors. He even got the 3D in watercolor. It's summer and fall and winter.
This is definitely winter.
Yes. Most of the pieces in this room are Santa Barbara, and that's a self-portrait at our friend Terry and Gunner's house in Santa Barbara with her beautiful flowers. And then as we go down the wall, they're paintings from Santa Barbara downtown and the beautiful architecture. Some of them, the two of the Mission with the fountain, are fusion. And instead of the one big piece that we had in the other room, two smaller pieces, but you can do the same thing, is bring them together as one if you can throw your focus out. And there are a couple of other sets. These are from Point Reyes in Northern California, and they're airbrushed. The gull on the bottom is airbrush and acrylic. I just put a sketchbook and stacks of sketches and paintings for people to leaf through.
These are a couple sketches?
Yeah.
From the sketchbooks.
Yeah. But I do like that watercolors. That looks like Colorado. This is the boat harbor. There's a lot of commercial fishing in Santa Barbara, and these are the commercial boats at the harbor. This is the courthouse in Santa Barbara, which is an amazing building. Amazing building. And these are digital renditions of it. And John played a lot with the courthouse, with the images of it. Side of the sportsman.
The inside of the sportsman.
And you can see John's sketching pen. Another self-portrait when he had hair. And lots of hair. These are, most of the paintings in this room were done since we've been back in Wildwood. He got really prolific, didn't he? And they're 3D and sunflowers and Queen Anne's lace and one nice thing about doing this was seeing all this work in one place and watching other people react to it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mind blower. He really had a good time. Just as a point of reference, that's the church, which you'll see in these paintings that we'll show in just a second.
This is the same scene from the window.
Except this is a self-portrait in a mirror. That's the Winter Church. Look how small those trees were. And the church, and more Amanita.
And then, this guy. What's this guy?
Which one? The big one?
Yeah.
That's snow-covered boughs. Oh, those are illustrations to two pieces that I wrote. This is artware. Those are images that we did on T-shirts and nightshirts and.
Remember?
Oh, that's airbrush.
Okay.
That's from the church, inside the church, looking at summer and fall. 3D paintings. This one is the bottom one is mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's fungus that grows on bark.
Yep.
And the top one is just pretty flowers.
And this small morel was found right outside the door in 2004.
It was, as a matter of fact, under the porch in the back. We didn't even eat it. We had it dipped in bronze and hung it from the rearview mirror.
The wall
That's
here.
Lily. It's acrylic on canvas.
These are from photographs?
They're photographs that he digitizes.